Before the first temple rose from the ocean, before the fall of Atlantis, there was a land of light, love, and crystal memory, Lemuria. I am calling to the forgotten part of your soul, the part that walked those shores, sang those songs, and placed those sacred crystals for the next age to remember. Welcome back, Starborn One. This is the Lemurian Soul series, a journey across lifetimes, galaxies, and the deepest truth of who you really are. Welcome to the Lemurian Soul series. Episode 1, The Pleiadian Call, your soul's first Earth memory. Before the first pyramid cast its shadow on the sand, before the first river carved valleys into the waiting earth, before the first seeds split open and reached for the sun, there was only the silence of possibility. In that silence, a whisper began. Not a sound you could hear with ears, but a vibration your soul would have felt if it had been near. The whisper moved through the endless dark, skipping across starlight like stones over water. It passed dying stars and newborn suns until it reached a cluster of light, the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades. This was no ordinary group of stars. Each was a living heart, and together they pulsed like a single mind. From within their radiant light, a council gathered. They were not kings or rulers, but the oldest dreamers of the Pleiadian people, the ones who could hear the voices of worlds before those worlds were born. One among them spoke, her voice like water over crystal. The earth calls. She dreams of life that remembers the stars. Shall we answer? The journey from the Pleiades. The Pleiadian worlds shimmered in a spectrum Earth has never known. Colors that existed between gold and rose, between silver and blue, tones that carried meaning as much as beauty. Every building grew like a crystal in perfect geometry. Every path sang beneath the feet, attuned to the steps of those who walked upon it. The air was alive, woven with scents of flowers that could only bloom when the twin moons rose together. In this realm, there was no hunger, no war, no sense of mine and yours. Life was a continuous exchange, energy flowing between beings, plants, water, and the stars themselves. But even here, in this paradise of light, there was a calling. For the Pleiadians were gardeners of worlds, carriers of seeds both literal and energetic. When a young planet was ready to awaken, they would come. The vessels they prepared for Earth were not ships in the human sense. They were living beings, part crystal, part consciousness, vast luminous whales of the void. When touched, they sang, and that song folded space like fabric, bringing distant places close. Departure was not taken lightly. Some who left would never return in their Pleiadian form. They would merge with Earth, becoming wind, water, mountain, or walk the land in new bodies, carrying the memory of the stars within. The elders gathered one last time before departure. Hands over hearts, eyes closed, they released a blessing. May we plant light so deep it cannot be forgotten. May Earth grow as a sister among stars. Arrival in Mu. Earth welcomed them with an ocean's embrace. From high above, they saw Mu, a vast continent stretched across the Pacific like the hand of the Earth herself. Her mountains blazed with quartz, catching the sun and scattering rainbows into the sky. Forests breathed in slow waves as though the land itself were alive and aware. The Pleiadian vessels slowed not to land but to merge. Some dissolved into the sea, their crystalline bodies becoming reefs that still hum today in the deep. Others rested upon mountaintops, becoming spires of stone and crystal that future generations would call sacred. The first Pleiadians to step onto the soil knelt in silence. They pressed their palms into the earth. They touched their foreheads to the ground, and from their chests, a tone emerged. The first song sung to Earth by those who came from the stars. Lemurian life in the first days. The first Lemurian bodies shimmered like pearl under sunlight. They were not heavy with density, but soft, luminous, and fluid, able to shift slightly in form with the flow of emotion and thought. They lived without walls. Shelter was the embrace of flowering trees, caves carved in crystal cliffs, and terraces of green overlooking the sea. The air was thick with scents, jasmine, ocean salt, and the sweet breath of blossoms the size of your hand. Food did not need to be farmed. Fruits and leaves grew in abundance, each plant offering itself willingly, for the Lemurians knew how to give gratitude before taking. Communication happened in waves of color, sound, and emotion. A golden tone might mean joy. A spiral of turquoise light might mean a story is coming. No lies could pass here. Frequency told truth more clearly than words. And always, the ocean was near. Whales sang the deep history of Earth, while dolphins carried playfulness into the tides. The Lemurians spoke with them not as animals, but as kin. The Great Seeding. The elders began their work. They placed massive crystals in the ocean floor, on mountain peaks, in caves lit only by moonlight. Each was tuned to a tone that matched Earth's core heartbeat. When activated together, these crystals formed a living network, the first great energy grid of Earth. It was a web of light, carrying healing frequencies through land, sea, and sky. Temples rose as harmonic chambers, not to worship, but to remember. When sound and intention were sung within, the walls themselves would hum, carrying that vibration for miles. The feminine current, priestesses who held the womb of creation, kept the grid alive. Through their chants and dances, they wove Pleiadian codes into Earth's body, ensuring she would always remember the stars, your soul's role. And now the story turns to you. If these words stir something inside you, an ache, a familiarity, it is because you were there. Not all who hear this will feel it, but those who do, know. Perhaps you have dreamed of walking barefoot on warm crystal sand. Perhaps you have felt an inexplicable pull toward the ocean. Perhaps certain tones or chants bring tears to your eyes for reasons you cannot explain. These are not fantasies, they are memory. Your soul may have tested crystals in the ocean floor. You may have sung with whales under moonlit waters. You may have danced in temples where sound and light merged into healing waves. Even if lifetimes have passed since then, the thread remains. And now, in this time of Earth shifting, that thread is pulling you home. Close your eyes. Feel the sand beneath your feet. It remembers you. In your hand is a crystal. It is warm, alive, breathing with you. It hums in a tone that moves through your bones, into your heart, into your soul. You look up and see the seven sisters, not far, not unreachable, but close enough to touch with your mind. A whisper moves through you. You are the bridge between the stars and the earth, remember. The ocean's breeze wraps around you, your breath deepens, the tide of memory rises, and you know, this is only the beginning. If something within you stirred, if your heart pulsed with a memory too ancient to name, then you have already begun to awaken. The Lemurian grids are reactivating, and you are a key. Share this episode to awaken another sleeping soul. Subscribe and continue your journey because your mission did not begin in this lifetime, and it will not end here.